Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? It's your man, Jay Immanuel, back with a new episode of Multiply Your Sales. Today, I got a very lovely guest joining me on the podcast, my girl, Angel Marie. What's going on with you?
Hey, what's up? Super happy to be here.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited to have you on here today because we're going to actually be talking to the coaches out there about how they can land more clients with email. And, I think you know a little bit, a little something
Just,
about that.
just a
Just
tad,
a
you know.
tad, right? So I think this is going to be a blessing to them. Always like to kick things off with getting your take. When it comes to using email to get clients, why do you feel like some coaches are, not really doing that or are hesitant to do it?
Yeah, I feel like one of the biggest things that I've seen is because a lot of coaches think that email is outdated. They think that it's old school. They think people aren't going to check their inbox. And I think automatically we're kind of conformed in today's society to immediately think that social media is the answers to trying to land more clients. And it definitely can be. But email marketing, in my opinion, will always surpass that if you go about it right.
Right. And with that in mind, why do you feel people and let me frame it this way. When I look at the amount of work that's required in order to build an audience and to land new clients with social media versus email, to me, there's no difference, right? So I'm curious from your perspective why people tend to go the route of social media where there is so much work. You got to get on live, you got to
I
be on IG,
know.
you got to be camera ready all the time versus, yo, if I just build this list and just sit down and write for 10, 15, maybe 20 or 30 minutes a day, and I get kicked, I'm getting clients.
Right. Yeah, I think it's just people there's this misconception that social media is going to be easier or best for them to try to sell or to try to land clients because billions of people are on social media.
Hmm.
Billions of people are scrolling. They know that social media has the attention most likely of their target audience. So, as coaches, a lot of times we can make the assumption that social media is the answer. Now, again, I love social media. I'm a huge content creator. I have landed clients through social media, but in my personal experience and an experience with the students and the clients that I teach, they end up landing more clients through email than on social media alone. And I always say the reason why is because, yes, billions of people are on social media and it's great for brand exposure, but email is great for personalization. It's great for building more of those one on one relationships. And that is huge when it comes to landing clients because when you build one on one relationships with your target audience, that leads to trust. And
Hmm.
trust will ultimately lead to people feeling more encouraged to buy your products, services, and ultimately invest their time and money into what it is that you've built as a solution for them.
Right. And this is one thing that I noticed, right? We all know with all of the platforms that are out here when it comes to email that, we're sending broadcasts to, hundreds or thousands of people at a time. However, I believe that most people look at email as a one-to-one. It's like, even though I know you may have thousands of other people on your list, when it drops in my inbox, it's more personal to me than if I go onto your social media and I know like you're broadcasting this for everybody. And
Yeah.
to be clear, I'm not saying or speaking against, the social media. We do talk about how to do it with video, but today is email, right? And I feel to your point, it's a much better avenue of building a bond, having that personalization when it comes to using email.
Yes, 100%. And I mean that's the biggest thing what you mentioned earlier when it lands in someone's inbox, it feels like it's just a conversation between you and them. And that's why I mentioned earlier when it comes to email marketing and sending out those emails, you want to make sure you're going about it right. And the
Mhm.
best piece of advice that I can give to those that are wanting to explore email marketing further is that you cannot approach email marketing as just this markety, salesy strategy just because you want more money in your pocket within your business.
Right.
Instead, you need to approach it as, hey, I'm going to write this email to a friend. I'm going
Mhm.
to write this email to someone I genuinely care about, someone that I want to offer solutions to the problems that they face. And when you approach an email that way, you end up writing more naturally, more friendly, more open, more personable. And that's the email that lands in the person's inbox that creates this that creates, or let me rephrase that, that kickstarts trust between
Mhm.
you and them. And that is a really big deal.
It is. It is. And with that in mind, I would love to, for a moment, kind of take a trip down memory lane and kind of get an understanding of how your journey with email started. Can you recall a time when you may not have thought email was that important, and then you realize, like, oh, maybe I should pay this a little bit more attention?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I first started my coaching business, it was more of a side hustle where I was more so coaching and giving advice through a blog.
Okay.
And on social media. So in
Mhm.
my mind, I'm like, oh, social media is going to be my biggest marketing tool. It's going to be great. We'll just focus on that. Again, that can be great. But I was missing out on this whole nother opportunity over here known as email marketing. And it's
Mhm.
so interesting because I didn't get into email marketing or started taking it seriously until I was hired by a marketing platform where I had to specialize in teaching their customers
Mm.
on email marketing.
Right.
So they hired me and I was like, yeah, I don't know a lot about email marketing, but I'm going to learn this. It's going to be great. I
Yes.
can't wait. Learned the heck out of it. Was
Mhm.
blown away by the impact that email can have.
Mhm.
And it's had my heart ever since. And now 98% of the time I'm sticking to writing to my email list every single week. And I only say 98%, not 100%, because
Mhm.
sometimes we miss a week, sometimes we're on vacation,
Yeah.
sometimes we're sick. Life happens.
Right.
Um, but for the most part, being as consistent as you can and emailing your list is going to make a huge difference for you and your business.
Yeah, and that opportunity is what I like to call one of those sweet, sweet deals, right? Because essentially, not only are they paying you to do work, but they're paying you to learn. But the skill that they're paying you to learn is the one that's going to put more money in your pocket with your clients and your endeavors as well. So, yeah, that's a
Exactly.
sweet, sweet deal right there.
Yep. 100%.
So, with that in mind, right, it sounds like before you had that opportunity presented to you, you were at a place where, email was kind of in the background, not really something in the forefront. And I'm sure once you started to, implement things with regards to email, that you probably came across some struggles or some challenges. So, I would love to hear, what were some of the struggles that you had encountered and had to overcome?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the biggest challenge was just finding my rhythm with it and
Okay.
finding my voice.
Hmm.
I think when you first get started with email marketing, you feel kind of awkward. Like you're like, what do I write about? Are people
Right.
going to actually care? Are people going
Hmm.
to unsubscribe? Is what I'm writing even making sense to them? Is it in alignment with, the impact I want to make on the people that are opening this and reading it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of awkward because you're just trying to find your rhythm in just your writing voice, what you
Hmm. Hmm.
write, how you come off, and trying to be very receptive to how your audience receives that, right?
Yeah.
And you'll find that rhythm over time. So I would say that was the biggest challenge, was just kind of that waiting season in
Mhm,
giving myself grace and patience to find my writing voice
mhm.
and to really pay attention to what aligned the best with my audience. Was it
Yeah.
this topic? Was it that topic? Was it if I write this way or if I write that way? And really trying to figure out, okay, what is causing my most of my email list to open up these emails over all the other emails that I've sent.
Mhm,
So really paying attention to that. And once I found that rhythm, that confidence finally started to grow where now I get excited to write my emails every week. And
nice.
I don't have fear, I don't have any doubts about what I'm writing. I'm just
Mhm,
confident in what I'm saying and knowing that my audience is going to receive it well. So I would say for anyone that's listening, you will face that challenge in trying to find your email writing voice, and that is okay. Just be patient with yourself, keep trying, don't give up, pay attention to those numbers and what emails seem to be getting more opens than the others, and then
mhm.
double down on those ones.
Yeah, and you make a good point there, which kinda goes into the question that I wanted to ask, which is, in my experience, most coaches tend to struggle with what to write. Like, it's like once they made the decision, like, okay, I'm ready to write, what do I write? To your point, you got to find that rhythm, you got to find your voice, and that comes with time. So, the question that I have for you is, you know, what do how do you stay consistent? Like when you feel like, okay, this isn't my voice. I haven't really found my rhythm yet. Like this is feeling really uncomfortable. How does a person continue either every day or every week or how often they're doing it can keep writing?
Yeah, yeah, I love this question so much. So I've learned that in any marketing strategy that I implement in my business, whether
Hmm.
it's email or social media or podcast or Pinterest ads, whatever, I've learned that if I am going to be consistent, I have to have fun with it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just me personally. And I but I do believe that it could help anyone for that matter. I think
Hmm.
we start to get inconsistent when we look at it like a job. It's
Hmm.
not fun, right? It's not
Yeah.
fun. Oh, we have to
Hmm.
do this. We're forced to do this in order to grow our businesses. When you look at something like you have to do it, it takes the
Hmm.
fun out of the picture. It takes the fun out of the creativity of even running a business. So,
Right.
my biggest piece of advice when it comes to that, when it comes to being consistent, especially when it comes to email marketing, you got to put fun back into it. You got to make it fun.
Yeah.
And that's going to look different for everyone, right?
Hmm.
That can mean so many different things. Like, how do you make it fun? Is it where you write your email? Do you prefer to write your emails in your room with the door closed? It's quiet. Do you prefer to be in a coffee shop? Do you prefer to be at the beach if you live close to a beach? I don't know. Do you, or what about what you write about? What brings you joy and passion in regards to what it is that you're writing about? A lot
Hmm.
of times I find that my students will go into writing an email and then they just feel so overwhelmed because they're like, I just want to sell this service in this email, but I'm
Hmm.
overwhelmed. I don't know how to word it right. I don't know how they're going to receive this sales email. And I always say, well, don't look at it like a sales email. Look at it like you are offering a solution that you are so passionate about to the
Hmm.
problem that your audience has. Make it fun, make it
Hmm.
lighthearted. And at that point, you want to write your emails. And therefore, when you want to do something, you end up being more consistent with it.
Nah, that's good. That's really good. And I think that's the key is people have to figure out how they measure consistency. And I like the fact that you said that you measure it by how much fun you're having. And it's like, okay, did I have fun? Did I actually enjoy what I did today? Instead of, hold on, did I get sales? Like I feel like, don't get me wrong, from a business perspective, that is important to see, like are the things that I'm writing resonating with my audience to the point that it does, translate into a new client or it does translate into sales. But when it comes to just, I guess, building that muscle of I'm going to write, I'm going to do it consistently, I'm going to send this email, I'm going to find my voice, I'm going to find my rhythm, that you just make sure you figure out what that measurement for consistency is for you. And typically, I would kind of suggest, like you, that it's not something that will get you discouraged, but something that will get you energized and get you or keep you encouraged.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, it's supposed to keep you encouraged. It's supposed to uplift you and help keep you going. Like
Hmm.
every time I send an email off and I know it lands in my email subscribers inbox, I get really happy because I'm just like, I love it. Like I just uplifted someone's spirits today with what I said in that email. Or I just launched my product or service inside of that email and I'm excited to see how it does. So yeah, absolutely, it should come from a place of even encouraging you along with
Hmm.
the people that are going to be reading those emails.
Yeah. And another question that comes to mind, I'm sure the coaches who are, open to using email are probably wondering, how do I balance between selling and building that bond, building that know, that like, that trust factor, right?
Yeah, I love this so much. I had read a post once, and I forgot the creator's name. So
Hmm.
for some reason, this podcast reaches that creator. Give yourself credit. But I read it. It was a Twitter post, and it was something along the lines of 99% of your content should be free,
Mm,
1% should be paid, 1% should
mm,
be when you're selling something. And I know that sounds like a crazy ratio, but it's really not.
mhm,
Now, that 99% content comes from, multiple different sources. Your social media content, that's free. People reading your emails, that's free. People listening to your podcast episodes or your YouTube videos, that's free, right? That's all the content you're creating is free, but then you're giving 1% of where you're pitching some sort of paid offer or writing a paid offer in that email, things of that nature. So I
mhm,
say all that to say, when it comes to business, it's okay to not sell all the time. In
Mhm.
fact, you will hurt your business if you do that because your
Mhm.
audience is going to feel like they are just an ATM machine to you. Like all you want is their money. People
Mhm.
don't want to feel that way. People want to feel seen and heard and fully taken care of. And when you
Mm.
are constantly selling, 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 selling,
Mhm.
they don't like that.
Yeah.
So don't always sell in your emails. I would say, I would say if you're writing weekly,
Mhm.
I would say at least two of those emails shouldn't be selling anything. They shouldn't be linking to anything that's paid. They should be linking to free stuff or
Mhm.
free content or just linking to nothing and instead just giving free advice based off of your niche that's going to help your audience. And then the other two emails within that month can focus on trying to sell something specific. But again, you can play around with that ratio. I would say I send out an email every week to my audience. So that's
Mhm.
4 times in a month, right?
Okay.
For me personally, 3 out of those emails mostly is just free. I'm not pitching anything. And
Mhm.
then normally one of those emails is selling something.
Okay.
But sometimes all 4 emails aren't selling anything. And I just wait until I'm doing a bigger launch to
Mhm.
actually sell it. Or I lead them into a different funnel by pitching something for free in my emails, like a free webinar. And
Mhm.
then people on my email list that join that free webinar will get pitched on a product or service I'm selling at the end of that webinar I'm teaching. So you kind of have to think about the flow here and the
Mhm.
trust building process. But all in all, I would say try to focus more on the free to build trust first and then reel
Mhm.
in the sales pitches over time.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think people often don't take into consideration is that sales is a skill. Whether it's like door to door, in person with somebody, whether it's over the phone, or even if it's via email. And I think oftentimes people are focused so much on getting the sale that they don't think about, well, how skilled am I at selling to people via email? So to your point, I can see why that 90 to 99 to 1 ratio will work, especially if somebody is able to be honest enough and say, hey, you know what? Like, I haven't really developed my skill of selling to people via email.
Yeah,
And until I get to that point, let me be a person that provides value, adds insights, provides advice. And then, that 1% of the time, I can, test out some of the things that I'm learning in the back end. And
yeah,
then as I noticed, like, yo, I'm getting good at this. Like, I know I'm starting to learn how to sell without it seeming like I'm selling people. Then you can kind of start to adjust that ratio a little bit, because
exactly.
I think we both can attest to the fact that there are some people that flip that ratio and it works for them, right? Where 99% of the time they selling something and 1% of the time they giving something away for free,
Yep.
and it works for them. But oftentimes it's because they built up a bond, they built a relationship, and they've also developed that skill of knowing how to sell in a way that it doesn't come off as, yo, I'm just trying to get your money.
Exactly. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I cannot express enough how important it is to take the time to build that trust first before the selling takes place. A
Hmm.
lot of times entrepreneurs, especially coaches, they want the immediate
Hmm.
benefit of the money, the success and the financial freedom. You can and you will get there, but you have to give your business and yourself time to get there, right?
Hmm.
Trust
Hmm.
takes time. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes patience, it takes giving yourself and your business enough grace to get there.
Hmm.
That's just the biggest thing. I had a call with a student and she was wanting to start a coaching business, and she was telling me like, yeah, I got on a call with someone from my audience and she was asking me all these questions, and I was telling her like, I can't give all this advice for free, so I'm gonna have to charge you for it. And then I was
Hmm.
like, wait, pause. I'm like, you are a new business owner. You are a
Hmm.
new coach. You just started. You cannot right off the bat tell people, well, if you want my advice, you're going to have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Give them free advice,
Hmm.
sprinkle it in. Okay. And then you can add your prices on top of it. Then you can
Hmm.
sell more over time. But man, that trust building, you just got to give yourself patience with it.
Yeah. And here's something that, not I know everybody not gonna agree with me on this, but I would say, like, when a person finds themselves in a situation like that where they're having a conversation with, one of their customers or somebody in their community, and they're starting to feel like, oh man, I'm giving away too much for free. I'll tell you one of the things that I notice when you truly are giving value that you probably do deserve to get paid for is before you get off that call or maybe later in an email or the next time you talk, that person will tell you, yo, I should have paid you for this. Like, yo, this is too good to be free. Only then do I feel like you should be like, yo, that was just so good. I'm dropping so many gems on you that I should be getting paid for this. But if the person is like, yo, like everybody is telling me this, like there's nothing special about it. But when
Yeah.
people are like, yo, like that was so valuable, like I feel like I should have paid you. Then
But
you
you
can
know
be
what?
like, yeah.
I 100, yes, exactly. And that, like when someone says that,
Hmm.
more than likely they will end up paying you for that service.
They
Like
will.
a lot of people, there's this misconception of like, don't give away too much for free. I agree with
Hmm.
that, but only to an extent, because it's like you will blow people's minds with what you decide to give away for free, with what you
Hmm.
decide to teach them, right? Instead of
Yeah.
holding it all in, you will blow their mind with what you're choosing to take more of a serving position and saying, hey, let me give this to you for free. Let me
Yes.
give you this advice for free. And when on the receiving end, those people are like,
Hmm.
wow, I cannot believe that person was so kind and was
Hmm.
so serving enough to give me all of this free value. Look how much value I got for free.
Hmm.
Then they start thinking, man, I wonder how much value I could get when I actually pay this person,
Right.
right? So it's a wow factor for them. They're like, wow,
Hmm.
it's free. And then they start to think, what would it be like if I paid this person? And honestly, more than likely they will.
Yeah, and to kind of dive a little bit deeper into that too, I think it also plays into, the mindset of that coach, right? If you have a mindset of abundance, then even if you are quote unquote giving something away from free, you're not worried because you know that you're going to make that back in so many other ways. You know that if you truly are giving something of value to somebody, they're to your point, they're going to want more. And at that point, they're going to be willing to happily pay because they're like, yo, if you're that committed and you are that giving and you are that helpful when you're not even asking a penny or a dime from me, I can only imagine how much it's going to be when I'm actually paying you. Or
Exactly.
if you have that, that scarcity mindset, that's when you feel like, oh, there's only so much that I have to offer. And
Yeah.
then that's when you got to go back to the drawing board about yourself and your services. Is like, is there really a cap or a limit on what you can do to help people where they are?
Yeah.
And then that's when you got to be like, yo, I got to develop myself as a coach so that, there's no cap, no ceiling when I'm on these calls. Yeah, I broke down, A, B, and C, but man, I ain't tell you about M, N, and O, all of that stuff that I can still dive into.
100%. Yep, yep, exactly, exactly. And that's the beautiful thing too. I love what you just said. As a coach,
Hmm.
you should not just be coaching people, you should be coached yourself as well
Yeah.
for the purpose of continuing to elevate your skill set over
Hmm.
time. The more you elevate your skill set through coaching yourself, getting mentorship yourself, the more you're going to have more to teach, more to say. Like you're never really going to run out of things.
Hmm.
And I think that happens with email a lot. Like
Hmm.
people start to refrain from email because they're like, I'm running out of things to write about. I feel like I'm writing about the same things over and over again. And I promise you, once you reach a point of consistency and having fun with those emails, you're never going to run out of ideas.
Yeah.
Especially if you yourself are always learning something, always elevating yourself, reading books, getting coached yourself as a coach, you will never run out of ideas because as you grow, so will your talking points. As
Hmm.
you grow, so will all the different ways that you can help your audience.
Yep. That's real. That's real. And one of the things I think we both can attest to when it comes to email is that there are a lot of strategies, a ton of them, more than we could probably list or name if we were put to the challenge. And
Mhm.
with that in mind, I'm curious, what would you say are some strategies that you tried out with email, but they just didn't work the way that you intended or expected they would?
Oh, that's good. That's so good. Um, the I had I had a product launch failure
Mm.
more towards the beginning of my email marketing journey.
Hmm.
But surprise, the reason was because I didn't have trust built with my email list yet. It
Mm.
wasn't there yet.
Okay.
I thought I could give myself maybe like a couple of months to build up trust with them and then I could sell.
Hmm.
Nope. I think in some regards that can work depending on your audience, but in my case it didn't and I had to go and reflect on that and look at the data.
Hmm.
And I realized it was because, yeah, I might have built trust with my audience through email by writing to them every week over those
Hmm.
past couple of months, but I wasn't giving enough like free content or free
Mhm.
advice in those emails that
Mhm.
would prime them for this
Mhm.
upcoming sell, right?
Yeah.
So, like, for example, if I am going to be launching, let's say I'm going to launch this mastermind teaching people how to build a successful product or service for their business that actually works, right?
Mhm.
If my emails before that product or service sales email launch, if my
Mhm.
emails before that aren't touching base on topics related to that, your audience, they're not primed. They're not getting ready for what it is that you're going to sell. When you prime your audience up for a product or service launch, they start to see you as an authority in that specific topic area, right? So
Mhm.
dropping tips, pieces of advice, free podcast episodes, YouTube, social media content that touches base on the topic related to your product or service, they're primed, they're ready, they see you as an authority in that topic, and now they're feeling much more inclined to buy that product or service. So
Mhm.
for me, I reflected on that and I was like, yeah, I didn't do enough of that in order
Mm.
for this product or service to be successful. I mean, it completely tanked and literally zero sales. And,
Wow.
I had to, it was a great learning point for me.
Mhm.
And yeah, I would tell anyone that so that they don't make that same mistake.
Yeah, and what I would say is so interesting about that experience is the fact that, in my opinion, right, my humble opinion, I think that most people would blame the product. And I think some people would maybe even blame the audience. I think it speaks a lot to you to step back and say, okay, like, where did I miss the mark? Right?
Right.
And just how you were able to come to the point that it was the trust that needed to be built a little bit more, establish it a little bit stronger. I'm curious, like, what does that look like when you go back to the drawing board after that fact? What were you focusing on in order to build trust going forward?
Yeah, that's really good. I would say my biggest focus was alignment,
Okay.
making sure that I had a bigger picture vision on the things that I knew I wanted to sell,
Hmm.
and then aligning that to my content better in
Okay.
regards to what I talk about, and making sure that content, whatever I write, whatever I posted,
Hmm.
aligned with what my audience actually wanted. So
Okay.
it was finding alignment of like making it make sense, making sure
Hmm.
my posts and my emails are related to, the future products and services that I wanted to sell, but then also alignment with my audience.
Hmm.
What is this aligned with what they want? Right?
Yeah.
Or am I assuming that they want this? And this is something I teach my students a lot as well is oftentimes as coaches, we assume that's what our audience wants. We assume this is
Yeah.
what they need when you would be so shocked to find out what it is that they really want and what it is that
Right.
they really need. Um, and that starts just by getting to know them, ask them
Hmm.
questions, have conversations with them in your social media DMs, ask for a reply back when you send
Hmm.
your emails and have those conversations one on one with them back and forth in your inbox. Get to know them. You can even send out surveys and stuff like that. And just making sure that what it is that you're wanting to sell is something
Hmm.
that they actually need. There's
Yeah.
been so many times where I have had to make adjustments to my products or services because I found out I'm like, wow, my audience actually wants this instead of that. Okay,
Hmm.
let me go back to the drawing board and update this product or service to make sure that it fits what they need.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's really good. And going back to like the different aspects of email that people have to take into consideration and that they sometimes struggle with, right? It can be how often do I email? It can be what do I write about? It is how do I sell? Like when you look at all of the things that people can be concerned about when it comes to emails, and let's not even get into like all of the metrics, open rates and click through rates and all of that type of stuff. What would you say to a coach who's listening, their main focus should be, or what should that main measurement that they should keep an eye on when it comes to, hitting that big picture goal of building a connection and then ultimately landing a client?
Yeah, that's so good. Pay attention to those open rates. A lot
Okay.
of times people want to pay attention to the unsubscribe rate and they want to
Hmm.
pay attention to the click through rate. So the unsubscribe rate is, how many people are unsubscribing for every email that you send. And then the click-through rate is how many people that opened your email are clicking the links inside of that email.
Right.
And that is where the sales are, right?
Hmm.
But when you first start out, pay attention to the open rates, because you're not going to get as many click-through rates, obviously, if your open rates aren't as high, if not as many people are opening up your email. So you need to reel them in or encourage them to want to open up that email in the first place.
Hmm.
And then I would say, don't focus so much on the unsubscribes. So many people do this. And I always say, your audience is your audience. It's okay to weed out those that don't maybe don't feel like they're in alignment with you and what you teach about. That's okay. As a
Right.
coach, you're not meant to be for everybody. You are not meant to be for everybody. There's a specific group of people out there for you. Those people will come and you will find those people. It works both ways. So if
Hmm.
people are unsubscribing, yes, there are times where you can look at your content and be like, do I need to pivot this? Like, for example, if your unsubscribe rate is crazy high,
Hmm.
maybe you're writing too many salesy emails, right? Maybe
Yeah.
your emails aren't value packed enough. It's okay to reflect on that. But if your unsubscribe rate is like, I don't know, a couple unsubscribes for every email you send, or, let's say you have 10,000 email subscribers and
Hmm.
20 unsubscribe, it's okay. It's okay.
Right.
Um, so ultimately, I would just say pay attention to the open rates. Try to get your open rates up.
Hmm.
Um, the more people that open your email, the more people actually read the email that you worked hard to write. And
Right.
the more people are likely to click on the links within that email that will lead to a product or service sell.
Nah, that's good. And, I'm sure with that in mind, focusing in on the open rates, people then have a new question, which is, how do I get people on my list? Like, what if somebody is new to this and they're like, okay, what what way should I focus on when I want to get people on my list so that I can have people opening emails and go down that lane, that
Yeah.
journey?
This is my favorite question that people ask me. Two things:
Hmm.
give something for free. Surprise, we're going back to giving away something for free. Give something away for free. And secondly, whatever it is that you're giving away for free, make it in video format.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to explain these. We've kind of already explained the value in giving stuff away for free,
Yeah.
right? People aren't going to feel inclined to sign up for your email list if you're like, hey, sign up for my email list to get emails for me. Hey, sign up for my email list to get newsletters for me. Nobody likes that. Like, that's not,
Right.
nobody feels inclined to sign up for it. Instead, you would say, hey, sign up for my email list to get this free webinar. Or you don't even have to put sign up for my email list in there. It could be something like free webinar on how to blank,
Hmm.
register here. And they have to give you their email address to register, right?
Right.
So give something away for free, huge value add,
Hmm.
huge lead generation. And then if you want to take that lead generation to the next level, make that freebie in video format. And
Okay.
the reason why I say that is because video is not just the new marketing norm in today's
Hmm.
society, but it is the most trustworthy one.
Okay.
People want to sign up for video content because it's more engaging, right?
Hmm.
They can see you, they can hear you, they get a feel for your teaching style and your teaching personality. They feel, a lot of people are visual learners, so they
Hmm.
want that
Hmm.
versus, like a free ebook, free checklist, free download. I've done those before. They work
Hmm.
fine. You can do
Hmm.
those as well, but you're going to see more people sign up for the video content that you give away for free. So, to get people on your email list, think free
Hmm.
30-minute webinar, free video course,
Hmm.
free Q&A, things like that are in a video format.
Yeah. And to kind of piggyback off of something that you had mentioned earlier, I would say that it really kind of boils down to making sure you know what your audience wants, right? Because I think that's more of the sell than, the freeness of it is, do you have a clear understanding of what they want? And then if you offer that to them, like you mentioned, in video format or honestly any other format, if you really can hit the nail on the head when it comes to what they want, and you can offer that to them in exchange for nothing but an email address, I think that's a really great starting point for getting people on your list. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this has been a great convo. I feel like you've come on and shared some insights into why coaches need to start emailing their list. Talked a little bit about how they can build their list up, the importance of building trust, right, with your audience. And in addition to that, making sure you find your voice. Don't hold yourself to some crazy metric as to whether or not you continue and stay consistent with it, but have some fun with it. Find something that will encourage you along the way. But
Yeah.
with that in mind, I want to hand the mic over to you. Are there any questions that you have for me that you like to ask, or any last or closing words you like to leave the coaches with today?
Yeah, no questions. Last statements, I would just say be patient and don't give up. I know
Okay.
that's such a cliche statement, but coaches, like, you're a coach, right? Like, you're a go-getter and
Hmm.
you are determined, and there's probably some competitiveness in you. Um, just be patient. Be
Hmm.
patient. And you have to find the confidence within yourself to not give up, the confidence in you as a coach, the confidence in what you teach and how you teach it. One of the biggest things that I've learned is that a lot of times people don't just invest in you as a coach because of your expertise. They also will invest in you as a coach because of your personality. And
Yeah.
confidence has a lot to do with that. So if you show up in your emails, you show up on social media, you show up in your content with confidence in what you know and why you want to talk about it, people feel connected to that. They're attracted to that level of confidence in addition to what it is that you're teaching them. So keep up the confidence, keep up the faith, be patient, and keep going.
Oh yeah, yo, that's great. That's great. That actually ties into our previous episode. So anybody that hasn't listened to that one on how to build your confidence as a coach, make sure y'all check it out after having listened to this.
I love it.
But definitely let everybody know, how can they get in contact with you if they actually want to work with you. How can they go about doing that?
I love it. Yes. So I am active on Instagram and TikTok mostly when it comes to social media. You can find me at Angel Marie Official. You can also go to my website and reach out to me there under coachangelmarie.com. And yeah, anyone who reaches out to me through a DM, email, whatever, I normally always respond. So I'd love to chat with you.
Cool. That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate you. You definitely got an open invitation if you ever want to come back. Everything that you shared today was gold, and I appreciate you for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Of course.